It was supposed to be just another briefing, another crowded conference room filled with high-ranking officers, the quiet hum of projectors, and the smell of coffee and jet fuel still clinging to flight suits. The Admiral entered with the weight of command etched across his face, the kind of man who'd seen more years in uniform than some of the recruits in the room had been alive. Every eye turned to him as he sat down, silver stars glinting under the harsh fluorescent lights. No one dared to breathe too loud. And then, she walked in. She wasn't supposed to be there. At least that's what most thought. A woman in her early 30s, calm but sharp, her presence as striking as it was unexpected. Her uniform was plain, a simple tactical blue, no ribbons, no flair. But something about her posture, the quiet authority in the way she carried the briefing tablet, made even the senior officers glance twice. She took her place at the front, cleared her throat, and began. Her voice was steady, each word deliberate, measured, confident. "This is Operation Silent Rain," she said. "And these are the coordinates of the last known enemy transmission. Our drone intercepts suggest—" "Hold it right there," the Admiral interrupted, his voice slicing through the air like a blade. The room froze. "Who authorized this briefing? Who are you exactly?" His tone carried the weight of decades of command, the kind that didn't expect an answer, only obedience. The woman stopped mid-sentence, lowered her tablet slowly, and looked directly at him. Her eyes didn't waver. For a long moment, no one spoke. The officers shifted uncomfortably. Someone coughed in the corner. The Admiral leaned forward, irritation visible in the tightness of his jaw. "I don't recall seeing you in any chain of command reports," he said coldly. "And last I checked, civilians don't run classified military briefings." He stood up, looming over her. "So before you waste another second of our time, explain yourself." And that's when he saw it. The insignia. Right there on her shoulder, half hidden beneath the fold of her sleeve, was the unmistakable symbol of the Guardian Division, a covert unit so secret most officers in that room didn't even know it existed. It wasn't a medal or rank insignia found in any handbook. It was an emblem awarded to only 3 people in U.S. military history. It represented not just valor, but survival, the kind that came from missions no one ever spoke about. Missions buried under layers of classified clearance. The Admiral's eyes widened slightly as realization dawned. He sat back down slowly. The tension in the room shifted instantly. No one dared say a word. The woman didn't flinch. She turned the projector back on, her tone never breaking, her calm as controlled as ever. "As I was saying, Admiral, these coordinates indicate a rogue satellite movement linked to Operation Scorpion's End. I was there when it went dark." That one sentence was enough to silence even the most skeptical minds in the room. Operation Scorpion's End, the mission everyone whispered about but no one dared mention officially, had been classified as a total loss. No survivors. And yet, here she was speaking about it as if it were a chapter she had lived through. Her name was Commander Avery Hale. 3 years ago, her aircraft had been shot down over hostile territory during that operation. She'd been listed as MIA, presumed dead, but Avery had survived and alone outnumbered deep in enemy ground. For months she had evaded capture, living off ration scraps and water from broken canisters, sending distress signals that never reached home. She'd watched her crew die one by one, burying them in silence under a sky that refused to grant mercy. And when the rescue never came, she became her own mission. It took her 118 days to walk out of that desert. She didn't speak of what happened. She just handed over her broken dog tags and said, "Mission complete." They gave her a medal in secret and erased her name from every public record, because heroes like her didn't exist on paper. They existed in shadows. And now she was standing in front of an admiral who had just cut her off mid-briefing on a man who realized too late that he had interrupted someone whose story carried more scars than he'd ever see in his lifetime. As the meeting went on, her words filled the room with gravity and purpose. She spoke not just of strategy, but of sacrifice, the kind that left marks on the soul, not just the body. Every officer listened in silence. Even the Admiral, known for his iron resolve, found himself watching her with something between awe and remorse. When she spoke of her fallen team, her voice cracked slightly, but she didn't stop. "They weren't just soldiers," she said quietly. "They were the reason I kept walking. The Admiral looked down, guilt crossing his face. For a man who had led thousands, he had never felt smaller. When she finished, the room erupted, not in applause, but in silence so profound it felt sacred. She gathered her notes, gave a small nod, and walked toward the exit. But before she could leave, the Admiral stood. His voice softened, trembling just enough to reveal his humanity beneath the steel. "Commander Hale," he said quietly, "forgive me. I didn't recognize what you carried." She turned, met his eyes, and for the first time smiled faintly. "With respect, Admiral," she said, "most people don't recognize it until it's too late." She walked out of the room, leaving behind officers who had just witnessed something they couldn't quite explain, the kind of presence that humbles even the proudest hearts. In the following weeks, Commander Hale's plan, an Operation Silent Rain, was executed flawlessly. Every move, every decision she made saved hundreds of lives. The Admiral would later call it the most precise mission he'd ever seen, and every time her name came up in a report, there was a quiet reverence that followed. She never sought recognition, never spoke of her past again, but among those who served, her legend grew, whispered in corridors, retold in quiet to new recruits as a story of endurance, courage, and silent strength. And the Admiral? He kept a single Insignia replica on his desk, the one no civilian should wear, as a reminder that true leadership doesn't always wear stars, and true strength doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes it walks in quietly, begins a briefing, and leaves the room forever changed. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. It helps keep these untold stories of courage alive for those who never got the chance to tell their own. Special request to comment. Tell us below. What does true strength mean to you?